So how's it going, everybody? Thanks for stopping by my channel once again. Remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Today's video, I want to talk about, well, I'm sure some of you all have already seen my my test ride video of the 2020 Harley-Davidson Street Bob. And y'all know that I love that bike. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and tell everybody that I went ahead and ordered one. I bought one for myself. I love that bike so much. I just, I thought to myself that I was going to do some more test rides on some different Harley-Davidsons and check them all out before I made my decision. But the days following that test ride, I couldn't stop thinking about that bike, and I just kind of knew it was the bike for me. I pretty much loved everything about it except for obviously the foot controls, which are changeable. But so I didn't want that bike because it was black. And black is very hard color to keep clean, so I decided to see what other colors they had available, and I fell in love with this other color. It's called River Rock Gray. So I spoke to my Harley-Davidson dealer, and they went ahead and got one for me. And it took them probably 4 or 5 days just to get it from another dealership and bring it down and have it ready for me and stuff. But here's the kicker. When I bought my Street Bob, and I took it home, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Stick around and I'll explain why. All right. Well, here it is in all its glory. Look at the color of this bike. This is called River Rock Gray, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's kind of to me it looks brown, but I don't know. They call it gray. To me it's brown, but I love it. It's got that nice little beige pinstripe in it, and it really pops with the metallic colors in it. But anyways, this is the bike that I requested that they get for me. There was one thing that well, actually a couple things. When I bought the bike, that I had to have them throw in cruise control. I have to have cruise control. So the cruise control, the cruise control is supposed to be here pretty soon, and they're going to install that for me. Another thing that I ordered for the bike when I bought it was what's called the Coastal Kit that Harley-Davidson makes for this bike and the Softail Standard. And what it is, it's a pretty cool looking little fairing. It's some different set of handlebars with some risers that will bring this this gauge cluster. It'll bring it up to the top of the risers, right about in that area. So it's going to look pretty cool. It also comes with a different seat, which is something that I had spoke about in my test ride video, that I wanted to get a better seat with a pillion on it. And it also comes, the Coastal Kit comes with the passenger pegs for it, and a couple other things. I think it's got different, rider foot pegs for it, and just some other different things. But anyways, back to my point. So the dealership gets the bike in, and I walk in the front doors. The salesman takes me all the way back into the service department, and he shows me the bike, and I think, wow, that thing is gorgeous. Totally love the color, the look of the bike, everything I liked about it. So we went through all the paperwork, signed all the paperwork and everything else like that, and jump forward to when I actually get to walk out into the parking lot and hop on my brand new Harley-Davidson and be able to ride it off into the sunset. It took me about 30 seconds to realize that I absolutely hated it. And let me explain why. When I test rode that black bike, actually, let's get on the road and I'll do some riding. I'm trying to do my best to help keep you guys distracted from all the stuff that's going on in the world, and I apologize for not posting too many videos, but given the recent situation that everybody else is going through, I'm sure everybody had other things on their mind and wanted to get their priorities straight and stock up for what's coming in. And that's what me and my family have been also doing. So let's get on the bike and ride. So as I was saying, after I signed all the paperwork and grabbed the key fob and stuck it in my pocket, hopped on the bike, started it up, pulled it out of the parking lot, got onto the main road. I rode it back through town, kind of back to my place. and I immediately did not like it. It just didn't feel like the bike that I test rode, the black one, and I just knew something was off. You know, it didn't feel like the same bike, and I almost immediately regretted it. So I got to thinking, well, what could be the difference here? You know, what is going on? It is the same bike, but why does it feel so strange to me when the other one was so more comfortable? Well, the first thing that occurred to me is, well, let me just start this out. I don't know if this is exactly how this works at the Harley-Davidson plant, but I'm just going to assume that there are many different guys who roll these bikes off the assembly line, and they are the ones that are responsible for setting these things up before they get shipped off to dealerships. So I'm just going to assume that the guy who set up this particular bike was 8 feet tall and had clown shoe boots on. Because the first thing that I realized about this bike that was so uncomfortable was the shift lever down here was probably like 5 or 6 inches up off away from the, like if you could parallel the peg and everything, it was probably 5 or 6 inches too high. So I was having to wrench my foot way back just to be able to shift gears, and then lift my foot up off the peg and push down on it. It was so uncomfortable. So that was the first thing that I did when I got back to my house. I pulled the shift lever off, adjusted it down so that my boot fits under it nice, and I took it out for another ride, hoping, well, maybe that was it, you know, just that was throwing me off. That wasn't the whole story. I'm going to point out though real quick before I go on with the story that the rear brake on this bike does work a lot better than the one on the black bike. I don't have any of the problems with, you know, with feeling like it's mushy or doesn't really do much. This one's great. So anyways, back to the story. The next thing I did when I got home is like I said, this guy must have been huge, because the way he had these handlebars and these hand controls set up was just ridiculous. I don't know how anybody would want to set up a bike just the way this guy had it set up. So the first thing I did is I loosened up these two T27 torque bit screws right here on both sides, and I rotated the hand controls back, and I got them to the point where I thought they were better, you know, and that tuned it just a little bit better. So I took it out for another ride, and man, there's just still something off. So I brought it back to the house, and you know, this is probably Tuesday. You know, it took me a couple rides to kind of start dialing things in. So it's Tuesday evening. So I park the bike and I go to bed, and I'm thinking about it the next day at work, and I'm going, man, what else is different about that? So I get home on Wednesday and I go take it out for another ride, and I can still feel, you know, something's still off. So I get back to the house, and well, I'm gonna tweak the handlebars a little bit. And it never really occurred to me, but I looked at the bike from the side profile, and these being, you know, I think they're 10-inch mini apes. If you look at the forks, you know, on the bike, and you can kind of see what the angle of the handlebar is compared to the forks. I know on the black bike, I'll have to go back and look at the footage, but I'm pretty sure on the black bike that the handlebars were in line with the angle of the forks, which it wasn't on this bike. So I loosened up the handlebars, and I straightened them up, tightened them back down, and then I readjusted my hand controls and everything, and got those pretty flat. You know, that's something I've never, none of my other bikes were, the hand controls were never flat with the horizon. But on this one they are, because that's how I like them. My other ones are always kind of pointed down a little bit, because that was the angle of my arms. But this one being kind of straightforward, I you know, put them flat, because they're more comfy that way. But anyways, so I took it out, and I rode it around, and I thought to myself, yeah, now we're getting it dialed in. This is starting to feel like the black bike. So I was really, you know, starting to cheer up a little bit, thinking, okay, I'm not going to regret this. You know, I didn't just blow a bunch of money and sign a contract and get stuck with payments on something I'm going to hate. But yeah, so I get the hand controls set up, I get the handlebars straightened out where they're supposed to be, I got the shift lever where it's supposed to be, and it's starting to feel like a good bike now. But there's still one more thing that needed to be adjusted. It was the rear shock underneath the seat. So I took the seat off and I adjusted the shock, and it was set up on a 3, and I do believe that, you know, the stiffest setting that these things have, if you adjust them all the way up to a 5, it's for like the heaviest load. I even had trouble finding this thing in the owner's manual. I don't know why it's not more prominent in there as to you know, how to adjust it and how to set it for your weight and everything. But now I got it was set at a 3 from the factory, and now I got it dialed down to a 2, and it's riding much smoother. Now, I never was able to check what that black bike was set on. I'm just going to assume it was on a 1 because it felt a heck of a lot more plush than this bike does. This is bumped down to a 2, and we're getting there. I'm going to probably drop it down to a 1 and take it out for a ride. So let me just go over everything that I had to do. Shift lever, handlebar angle, handlebar controls, and let's see what else. Yeah, well, obviously mirrors, but I was just absolutely shocked at how the adjustments and the angles and, you know, how this bike was set up from the factory. I was just shocked at how different that it felt. But now I got it dialed in, you know, and I'm more comfortable now and everything. And what was bad about it, you know, not being dialed in to my height and the way that I liked it, is the first few times that I rode the bike, it was pretty uncomfortable. You know, I was having cramps in my shoulder blades, and my hand was cramping up and stuff. But now that I got everything all cool and stuff, you know, I'm nice and chill on the bike, and I absolutely love it now. So kind of brings me to wanting to talk about something that never really occurred to me. Maybe this is a Harley thing, you know, maybe it's an all bike thing, but having now bought a Harley-Davidson, I know that pretty much everything, look at that view. Pretty much everything on these bikes, you can kind of tune it and tweak it to your body size and make it comfortable for you. It got me to thinking, I wonder how many people have test ridden a motorcycle and absolutely hated it because of the way it was set up. I mean, I haven't test ridden a whole lot of bikes, but there's probably been 1 or 2 that I've ridden that I absolutely hated simply because it wasn't set up for me, for comfort. But now owning a Harley-Davidson, I can tell you that just about everything on these bikes, you can twist it, turn it, tweak it, do these little things to it that'll make it fit your body just so much better. And you know, if you get the opportunity to go out and ride a Harley-Davidson, I would absolutely recommend riding one of these things, this Street Bob, because it's absolutely fantastic bike. But if you go to a dealership and you ask to do a test ride and you're not comfortable on a bike, maybe just ask them and see if they'll you know, see if they'll turn a wrench or two and kind of dial it in for you, and see what they say about it. I'm sure most of them, you know, Harley dealerships, they're all pretty cool in my experience. I'm just gonna assume, but I'm sure they wouldn't you know, if it came down to them selling you a motorcycle, I'm sure they wouldn't mind tweaking a few things on it to make it fit you better. I wonder if that guy just crashed off the road back there, because that's a whole lot of dust. But yeah, just ask them if they'll do that for you. But I can say with 100% certainty, if I would have test ridden this bike and not the black bike, I wouldn't be owning one of these things right now, because I never would have thought of asking them just to you know, change some things for me. But yeah, I'm 100% happy with this bike now. I'm especially going to be more happy when I get my fairing for it and my bigger seat. I like this seat on this bike. Actually, it's not too bad. You know, I've taken this thing out and gone on rides for an hour and come back and everything's fine. I did notice, like, the first 2 days that I was riding this bike, that I was so tensed up and everything because it was being set up wrong that I'd get up in the morning the next day and I'm sore, and I knew it was from the motorcycle. But she's all dialed in now. Even now, you know, I'm a little bit tense still in my shoulder blades, and I got a death grip on this throttle for some dumb reason. But I guess it's just part of owning a new motorcycle. But this thing handles like a dream. So if you're thinking about test riding a Harley, once again, do it, you know. And if you like something about a Harley-Davidson, that, you know, just the looks of it, and you think it's really pretty cool and stuff like that, don't get disheartened if you test ride it and it's not set up perfectly for you, because you can change all that stuff. So anyways, thank everybody for coming along for the ride, and remember, if this is your first time to my channel, to hit that subscribe button. There's more stuff coming, and I have high hopes for you know, despite what we're going through right now. I mean, there's lines and lines of little restaurants and things down this road, and it's dead. I don't know what that shop is down there, but they're still open. But you know, the little bars and restaurants and things are just taking a huge hit because of all this. And I do have high hopes, and I have a lot of faith in the people who are working hard, you know, 24 hours a day to get us through this. We won't let this beat us. We'll be back to work in no time. So all you guys out there that are just having to sit at home, and you know, if you're out of work and stuff like that, just keep your chin up, guys. I mean, we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna go back to work, because that's what we do. 22